Hi again, this is Dave Stevens for the Disability Channel. I'm at Cooperstown where I've always wanted to be, and this is the Mecca of baseball. And I've got the man who's in charge of this entire place, the president of the Hall of Fame, Jeff Idelson. Jeff, thanks for giving some time for us.
Hey, happy to do it, Dave, and I am here all the time, other than when I'm not here, as Yogi might say.
Well, that's why I said, speaking of Yogi, last time I saw you, we were at Yogi Berra's, was it 90th birthday party? But it's always fun to come here. And it's got to be fun for you to have, this must be the biggest dream job in the world.
It is. I mean, just, having had the opportunity to come here and work here now 24 years has been wonderful. I thought I'd come here for a year and sort of slow my life down, and, two kids and 24 years later, I'm still here because I realized what a great and special place this is to work and to raise a family.
People must wonder, I know the history, but how did the Baseball Hall of Fame end up in Cooperstown?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, and I'll make it as succinct as I can, Dave. But at the turn of the 20th century, baseball put together a commission to figure out its roots. And the best evidence at that time pointed to some correspondence from a mining engineer in Colorado named Abner Graves, who said that in 1839 he was here with Abner Doubleday, who laid out bases and put together two teams and started baseball. And this commission that was led by Charles Comiskey determined that was the most plausible story, and in 1908 came out with the declaration that baseball had been invented by Abner Doubleday in Cooperstown in 1839. Now, as you fast forward into the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, research becomes a little bit more prevalent. We opened in 1939. 70s and 80s, a little more research. The 90s, the internet's born, and then you start to quickly realize that, Abner Doubleday wasn't even here in 1839. He was at Military College in West Point, and his real seminal role in history was that he fired the first shot at Fort Sumter. What we really like to say is that Abner Doubleday didn't start baseball, but he started the Civil War.
Well, it's a beautiful town. It's very quaint. I love coming here, but it's so far. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Has there ever been thoughts of moving this to a bigger place to allow more fans to get there and see these things?
Well, I might argue it's in the middle of nowhere if you don't live near here. But having said that, no, we're not going anywhere. We feel that the journey is very much a part of coming to Cooperstown, and it's why, more than 17 million fans have come here since we've opened. And, sure, Abner Doubleday didn't invent baseball here, but it had a rural and pastoral setting when baseball began, and so Cooperstown's really a symbolic and relevant place for the Hall of Fame to live.
And I can speak firsthand because I was here for Kirby Puckett's induction, and it is amazing to see what this little town transforms into with all eyes in the baseball world on it in those summer days.
It really does. I mean, Cooperstown is a sleepy little village with 1,800 residents, and if you closed your eyes and then opened them driving in on Main Street, you'd think you jumped into a Rockwell painting. But Hall of Fame weekend comes around, it's a whole different ball of wax. You have, 3,000, 4,000 people here each day throughout the weekend, and then on Induction Sunday, 30, 40,000 fans will be in attendance, and it's a chance for them to salute their heroes, and not only that, but to see all their baseball cards come to life.
And for me, just going into the bookstore and seeing my name in a book in the Hall of Fame was pretty cool to see. But, there are those that have had disabilities that have played, like Bert Shepard and Curtis Pryor and Jim Abbott. And there are artifacts of those guys here that really make it special for those in the disability and disabled communities to come here to Cooperstown.
Well, it's an important part of our game and America's contribution to, or baseball's contribution to American culture. And the beauty about baseball is that it's an equal opportunity sport. I mean, more so than any other sport. And, I first was introduced a little bit to players with special abilities when we worked on a World War II exhibit right when I started here in 1994-95. And Murray Dixon, who had lost a leg, in war, was one of the people we featured, and rising up through the eras and seeing other players, the ones you mentioned, Jim Abbott I had the chance to work with in New York. Baseball's for people who are special, and it doesn't matter what shape you're in or what abilities or special abilities you might have. Baseball's open to everybody.
And it's a game that never changes. As president, curator, historian, what are the top 2 or 3 artifacts that you've acquired during your tenure that just blow your mind to this day?
Well, we have a great staff here, Dave, that curates and does all the wonderful things at the museum, but I've been fortunate enough to help select and acquire artifacts over the years. And, probably one of the more poignant ones for me early on was working with Arlene Howard, who is Elston Howard's widow, and trying to explain to her that not having the first black Yankee represented in the Hall of Fame was not fair to Elston, and borderline Hall of Famer, and maybe one day he gets here, but his contribution to the game was pretty amazing. And when she agreed to give us his uniform, I thought that was an important element or artifact I was able to add. The other piece maybe that was really poignant for me, there's been so many over the years, but the 2001 World Series that was won by the Arizona Diamondbacks, that was a incredibly intense World Series for so many reasons, what was going on in this country. And then to have Luis Gonzalez beat, arguably one of the top 1, 2, or 3 closers in the country with a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th inning or 10th inning shows you just how special that moment was. And what makes it even more poignant is he broke the bat. It was an infield, duck fart. And, that's the only way you can beat a Mariano Rivera in the postseason.
And you go around here, and there's things for everybody to see at all ages. There's the history of the women in baseball. There's all kinds of stuff in the Negro Leagues. It's just amazing. I mean, you can come here over and over again and see something for the very first time.
Well, Dave, I agree with you. I mean, I walk through the museum every day that I'm here, and over 24 years, I still learn something new every day. And we take our job very responsibly here in Cooperstown, and it's not only talking about the game as it's unfolding on the field, but it's also baseball's great role in culture. Whether it's a book you wrote and carrying it in our bookshop, or talking about the women's leagues, the role of baseball in Latin America, our job is to make sure that everybody understands the important role that this game has played in developing American culture and values.
It's a beautiful museum. It's accessible for anybody in wheelchairs. There's people around to help you all the time, but during your entire tenure, you've got to meet some of the greatest names in the history of the sport. Is there one that sticks out that you never thought you'd meet, or you had that opportunity to meet and you just had to pinch yourself you had that chance?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's not any one, Dave, but I mean, I worked for 2 clubs before I came here, so I was lucky to be exposed to some great stars and their alumni, over the course of time with the Red Sox and Yankees. But then you come to induction weekend here, and it's like, it's like walking back into time. I mean, there was guys like Lefty Gomez, guys like, Buck Leonard, Stan Musial, Ted Williams, Willie Mays. I mean, it's just all of them. I mean, all of them really are guys that I thought of in my childhood that I collected their cards, and I thought, my God, who are these gods? And then you realize, they put their pants on one leg at a time, or put their jerseys on, they put their cap on just like all of us do.
All right, well, this has been an awesome time. This is a president you can actually like and support. This is my buddy Jeff. He's in charge of the coolest place. Cooperstown is an amazing thing to come and see for the family. So I hope you get some time. Come through here. Come say hi to Jeff and all of his staff. I'm going to go back out and look around some more and see some things I haven't seen. So for Jeff Idelson, I'm Dave Stevens for the Disability Channel. Let's send it back to you.